Before the video starts, remember that I have subtitles for those who are more comfortable in another language. We have German, Italian, French, Spanish, and Polish. Hello and welcome to the Demo Game YouTube channel. I'm Antonio and today we'll be sharing our guide to Kai'Sa, the Daughter of the Void. I've been wanting to do a video on Kai'Sa for a while now, and I'm glad I can finally make one. I've been working really hard on this Kai'Sa guide, so please make sure to like, and I go a lot more in depth than I usually do. I also made a mobile fire guide, so make sure to click the link in the description below to check it out. Everything's in text, so it could be easier to understand, and it's also updated every patch. Kai'Sa is a mixed damage dealer who plays very aggressively, as your ult gets you closer to your enemies. Overall, she's great for veteran ADC players who are looking to stomp on their enemies and 1v9. She's very good at farming with the help of her Q that shoots out a swarm of missiles. Unlike most ADCs, Kai'Sa wants to engage on her enemies with her ult and slay them out before they have a chance to run away. At the end of this video, I put a summary graphic that sums up everything I talked about. If you're using subtitles, click on my mobile fire guide in the description below where you can copy and paste the text and put it in translation software to understand. Since it's patch 8.11, marksmen have been changed quite a bit, and basically what Riot did was nerf AD carries in the early game and made their mid to late game a little bit stronger. They also added Storm Razor and changed a lot of items including Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver. Some pros and cons of Kai'Sa is that she has mixed damage, good at all-ins, she has good pick potential with her W and ult, she's strong all game. Cons, she has no good escapes, hard to use ult, hard to trade in laning phase due to your limited reach, and it has a high ban rate. So let's talk about Kai'Sa's abilities. So Kai'Sa's passive allows Kai'Sa to stack plasma from her basic attacks that deals an increasing bonus magic damage per auto. It's also important to know that allies with immobilizing effects also stack your plasma, so you're good paired with supports like Nami, Braum, Taric, Leona, Alistar, Zyra, and Morgana. Your passive can also allow you to upgrade most of your abilities with the exception of your ultimate. Your Q, Icathian Rain, shoots a swarm of missiles that seek out nearby targets, and this is great for farming. It can be difficult to trade with this ability because the enemy minions can get in the way. It also doesn't stack your passive plasma. Once you get 100 bonus attack damage, you can upgrade your Q, which is equivalent to buying Essence Reaver and Pickaxe, or Infinity Edge and Pickaxe while being at least level 8. Of course, there are more things you can buy to get enough AD, but these items will be built more often. Also, if you cast your Q and move out of its range, it will keep firing to the nearest target while you are in the range. W, Void Seeker. Your W is a long-range missile marking enemies with plasma, giving you 2 stacks, which can be used in combination with your ultimate to travel longer distance to your enemies. You can also check bushes with it. E, Supercharge. Kai'Sa's E increases her movement speed by 72% at rank 1, and it goes up to 98%, then increases her attack speed to 40% at rank 1, and then goes up to 80% at the final rank. You can upgrade your E ability, giving her invisibility. To upgrade this, you'll need 100% attack speed, which means you'll get it when you have at least Runin's Hurricane, Berserker Greaves, and Recurve Bow, or Berserker Greaves, Recurve Bow, Zeal, and a dagger. R, Killer Instinct. Your ultimate can warp you to targets that have plasma stacks. It also gives you a shield that scales pretty well, since your full build will give you a 700 damage absorbing shield when you ult to a target. Kai'Sa's ult is pretty hard to use since usually ADCs don't engage. If you're new to playing Kai'Sa, I would recommend to play very safe around it, but if you do master the ability, it can be used to outplay your enemies and carry, or get really good picks. I mainly use my ultimate to chase down enemies if I know they're alone, and can also help close fights where the shield can come in clutch to help you win the skirmish. Matchups. Kai'Sa is very strong currently, but by knowing her matchups, you can maximize your win conditions. Kai'Sa is countered by champions that have a strong engage because she has no escapes, except her E, and it's only useful when you have it evolved. She's also weak against champions that are good at poking. Try to avoid lanes against Jhin, Draven, Jinx, and Misfortune. The supports you need to avoid are Rockin, Leona, and Taric. Some other champions that are difficult to teamfight against are Singed, Talon, and Xin. You counter champions like Lucian, Ashe, and Tristana. Nami, Rockin, and Morgana are the best supports with Kai'Sa because they can give you great peel while also having abilities that synergize well with your plasma stacks. With Morgana, you can push the waves really fast, and her black shield helps your lack of escapes, so the enemy can't CC you easily. And her ult and Q are great for slowing engages and stacking your plasma. Nami is also great at disengage and engage with her Q and ult. Her W is good for trading as it can heal you and damage the enemy. Her E also synergizes well with your kit, giving you bonus magic damage when you basic attack, while also slowing your targets. For Rockin, his kit is great for peeling and engaging. He can knock up enemies that are too close to you and give you a shield and charm enemies away. Some also run Guardian, which will give you a bigger shield when he gets close to you. So let's talk about how you'll build Kai'Sa. Your starting items will depend on your matchup. The most bot starting items are Doran's shield and 1 health pot. This is for most matchups and is great for beginning ADCs and new players to Kai'Sa. It's also great when you're playing against bot lanes that counter you. Now you can also grab a Doran's ring and 2 health pots, which is really good on Kai'Sa. It helps you spam your Q to farm, and it also gives you a bit of ability power and HP, which I think is good for players who are more used to Kai'Sa. It's also popular for players who want to go full AP Kai'Sa, which I will talk about in a second. Another thing to know is that Fleet of Footwork gives you more healing depending on how much AP you have, so it gives you more sustain. It also works well with Celerity, giving you 1 AP bonus at the start of the game, and then after you activate your E, it gives you 6. Lastly, there is the Doran's Blade and 1 health pot, which I wouldn't recommend unless you hard counter the enemy bot lane or you're a Smurf. So Kai'Sa's build is a bit weird since it revolves around your evolutions. Kai'Sa is really hard to build because you can either go AD or AP, so I'll give you my thoughts on both versions. So AP Kai'Sa would be something like Ginsu's Rage Blade, Berserker Greaves, Nashor's Tooth, Rabadon's Deathcap, Void Staff, and Zhonya's. This build is more popular with the Korean pro players. I think it's the best build on Kai'Sa because you can get more damage with this build on single targets, and you get all 3 upgrades if you switch out Void Staff for Mercurial Scimitar. It's also cheaper in the early game compared to what you build when you go AD. Your Fleet of Footwork also gives you more healing when you build AP. Now, my AD build is Ginsu's Rage Blade, Berserker Greaves, Essence Reaver, Runin's Hurricane, Infinity Edge, and Guardian Angel. With this build, you get your Q and E evolution, and this build is better against tanks since you can grab a Lord Dominic's Regards, and since the patch 8.11, they made it so Infinity Edge now does true damage. It also is great for getting early towers. The cons of this build is that it does less damage and is more expensive in the early game. For Kai'Sa's runes, you go Precision and Sorcery, taking Fleet of Footwork, Triumph, Legends, Alacrity, Coup de Grace, then for Sorcery, getting Celerity and Gathering Storm. The reason why you take these runes are because they help you stack your plasma by giving you more attack speed. Fleet of Footwork did get nerfed, but I don't think it's enough to stop Kai'Sa from actually taking it. When you move an auto, it generates energy stacks. Once you get to 100, your next basic attack will restore HP and grants 20% bonus movement speed for 1 second. It's important to utilize this when you have a full energy stacks to only use your auto on melee supports or melee minions as they give you the most healing. Since the 8.11 patch, they made it so you gain less healing on caster minions and more on melee. Fleet of Footwork also gets most of its healing stats from AP, so it's good on champions like Kai'Sa that always at least grab a Ginsu's Rage Blade. I take Triumph because I think it really does come in clutch, restoring 12% of your missing HP and giving you 20 extra gold. Now there is an argument for taking Overheal, but I feel like it's pretty useless in the early game, and it's much better on tankier champions. Since you take Fleet of Footwork, you don't need Doran's Blade to proc the Overheal. Legends Alacrity is also really good on Kai'Sa as it increases your attack speed so you can stack more plasma faster. Some people also like taking Legends Bloodline instead because it can be good paired with Overheal, But since you're playing ADC, I feel like the lifesteal won't be too useful since you're so squishy. You'll probably just get bursted anyways, and it's really weak early game, so it won't be much help in laning phase. I take Coupe de Grace because it can help you finish off your enemies and help you in clutch early fights. Laning phase also gives you adaptive bonus of 9 AD or 15 ability power. I think cutdown also isn't bad when you're facing a really tanky team. Celerity helps your limited escape, giving you extra movement speed, and paired with fleet of footwork, it can give you a really good kiting. It also gives you AD or AP adaptive based on your bonus movement speed. This means it works well with fleet of footwork, giving you 6 bonus AP when you proc fleet of footwork if you have Doran's Ring for your starting item. It also gives you up to 30 AP or 15 AD extra when you evolve your E for 1 second. This is best with AP Kai'Sa so you can quickly burst enemy champions. Absolute Focus is also good on Kai'Sa. It actually gives you more adaptive damage than Celerity, and I think it's better in games where you don't need the movement speed to run away from enemies. Gathering Storm is also great for almost every ADC at the moment since it gives you AP or AD adaptive every 10 minutes. So if a game lasts to 60 minutes, it will give you a total of 168 AP or 101 AD, which is a crazy amount. And I feel like if the enemy ADC has it, you'll be at a huge disadvantage. As Kai'Sa, you should play the early game pretty safe. Your Q is great for helping you farm, and your plasma stacks deal a ton of damage in the early game, which can really surprise enemies. Depending on your support, you can change your playstyle. For example, if you have a melee support, you should wait until level 3 before you start seriously trading. If you have a heavy poke support like Zyra, you should apply pressure and push the wave to get level 2 first. Make sure to always know where the enemy jungler is and when they might gank. If the enemy jungler is a cheeser like Twitch, you should always play really safe until you see him on the map somewhere else. Other than that, you should start warding around 345. During the mid game, if you build AP, you should have your E and W evolution, which can help you escape. You start getting really strong after Nash's Tooth. Since it is mid game and everyone is roaming, it's a good idea to grab a Farsight alteration and play around your team and be very safe. Remember that you can always stay pretty far back and ult to clean up. Since Kai'Sa's autos don't have much range, it can be very hard to siege towers. The only thing that sucks about her mid game is that your build starts to cost a lot. If you're AD, you're probably trying to build Infinity Edge, and if you're AP, you're probably trying to build Rabadons, and they have horrible building paths. Late game, Kai'Sa is a monster and can win team fights. All your team has to do is suck up abilities so you can go in and clean up the fight. When you're team fighting, always use your E to help you kite enemies, and W if the enemy is out of range. So that's it for this video. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment for more videos.